All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to The Holler. TNHoller.com is where you can find us at the TN Holler on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. We also have hollers hollering all across the state thanks to your support, including in Memphis. Really do appreciate that. Your small dollar monthly donations make that possible. Chip in $10 a month, get a hat. And also shout out to Elisa Parker. If you're buying or selling a home in Middle Tennessee, do it through her. If you need a lawyer, Abby Rubenfeld is who to talk to. And we have a new sponsor now. If you want some coffee, go to Bongo Java. They're hooking it up for 15% off. All right. Wanted to get a good friend of ours on here, Justin J. Pearson, who you all know. I don't need to introduce him to you like I do some of our other guests, so I'm not even going to bother. Before we get into what's actually happening in Memphis, and actually there's some breaking news about it, I just want to touch base real quick. Justin, you just got back from the DNC in Chicago. Tell us a little bit about what that was like. Was the energy as great as it looked?
Absolutely. One, thank you so much for having me on. Always good to be with the Hall of Family. The DNC was electrifying. I think it is so inspiring to have thousands and thousands of people from across the country getting together saying, look, we're not going backwards, we're going forwards, to really believe in a vision of our country that we know is more possible, even in states that have been voter suppressed and gerrymandered like ours has been, who are still resisting and rising up. And so it was really electrifying to be there, really fortunate to have been elected as a congressional delegate and have had Ocean and so much of our community and family there to witness history in the making.
Well, I saw you in some of the places that like weren't on the main stage, and the response from young people especially to you and the Tennessee Three, but you especially has been really electrifying, and I know people really value. I mean, I saw the line out the door to get pictures taken with you, so I think you just got to keep going. And I know you're not going to say this because you're too gracious to do it, but I will speak on behalf of the people in Tennessee that were bummed that you guys didn't get to speak on the main stage. I know the three of you aren't going to say it, so I'm going to say it. They should have bumped other people, not you guys. A lot of people were looking forward to hearing you guys talk. So I'll just get that out of the way. I'm not even going to ask you to comment on it, but I will comment on it and say I was bummed.
I appreciate you saying that. And look, we got to keep going. We got to keep making sure that the South gets the attention that it needs and that it deserves. We got to keep lifting up the issue of gun violence and the epidemic that's really hurting our communities and hurting people really across this country and this nation. And we all sort of live in fear of gun violence or the next mass shooting that'll happen. And even while statistics are showing, gun violence or crime going down, we know that worry is there because we don't have legislation to actually fix it. And yeah, we were all pretty bummed out about it, but that doesn't, as Ocean shared with me, right? We can't have anything still our joy, and it doesn't take away from the joyous occasion and the joyous moment that we're about to elect the first Black woman president of the United States, that we're about to send a kid from Nebraska to the vice presidency, and that our community is getting more attention. And just today, actually, more breaking news. I was reached out to by the Harris campaign to actually do a campus tour over the next several weeks. And so, look, the movement is still growing, it's still going.
Well, you segued us perfectly to what we're here to talk about today, which is, I think I have the details of this right, but I just want to basically run down kind of what happened. So obviously, as we know, Tennessee has been going the wrong way with our gun laws, loosening them, even as our gun violence statistics are horrible, as more and more people are shot and killed, especially as we know in Memphis. So Memphis was going to take it upon themselves to have these referendums on gun safety laws, non-binding referendums, meaning these are basically poll questions. And they were going to say basically that they want red flag laws, that they want an assault weapons ban, and that they want to repeal permitless carry in Memphis. Now, even the passage of these referendums would not actually enact these laws. It wouldn't do anything. It would just kind of show the state that, hey, this is what we want to do. And even just that small thing, that small symbolism was too much for the Republican supermajority. They threatened to withhold funds from Memphis if they put these referendums on the ballot. Secretary of Voter Suppression, Trey Hargett, came out and said he won't let Memphians vote on it. And this is the breaking news. I don't know if you just heard this, but they just had a hearing and they said now they will not put the gun related referendums on the ballot. And actually, one of the people that spoke at that hearing that just happened today, I think worked for you, Alex Hensley, saying that they're pushing basically that it's unconstitutional to threaten how they did to take away funds. So, Justin, you released a strongly worded statement, but I just wanted to give you a chance to talk, as yourself. What did you think when you saw the Republican supermajority and leadership threaten Memphis this way?
I mean, the Republican leadership is weak, and they're cowards. And their cowardice has cost us thousands of lives of people who should be here and who would be here if we had acted to do something earlier about gun violence prevention and had enacted true gun safety measures that the majority of people, not only in Memphis and Shelby County, but across our state, want to see happen. I think it is ridiculous that they are abusing their authority and power in this way, and that the Memphis City Council, through legal means, is going to have to step up, is going to have to speak up, and going to have to fight back. These Republicans don't understand even their own values of their party. This is nothing like small government. This is nothing like preventing government overreach, right? Like, they are the purveyors of pain and are willing to sacrifice our communities' voice again, right? And we've seen this with our expulsion. We saw this with them talking about expelling our district attorney, and now with them weaponizing and abusing their authority and their power in this way to prevent some simple questions about what it is that Memphians would like to see to actually protect themselves from even being on the ballot. And this extremism is detrimental for our democracy, because these are the actions of authoritarians. This is what tyranny looks like. Threats to take away tax dollars that we have invested in, forcing the Shelby County Election Commission through all of these levels of bureaucracy to say that, well, we won't be able to put this on the ballot because we've been told not to, despite the fact that our legislative body, our city council, passed these measures. These things are more common in a place like Russia or North Korea, but this is America, and you don't expect to see such broad overreaches of power, abuses of authority, and abuses of power that is becoming much too commonplace in this state.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is spot on. This is what it looks like. Like, people are waiting for, these signs to show us, but no, this is what it looks like. It looks like, you just want to put something small on the ballot just to send a message, and they won't even let you do that.
That's right.
It looks like changing the laws when they send back legislators that were expelled for no good reason, changing the law so that they can't do that next time.
Right.
And on and on. Jones has been saying Project 2025 is Project 2024 in Tennessee. This is what it looks like. That's what you're saying too. This is what it looks like. I'm disappointed that they seem to have backed down, but they were really left with no choice. Mm-hmm. And so, I guess I would ask you, can you kind of connect the dots to all the other ways that we have seen them do this? Like you're saying, this is big government overreach and not small government that they preach. We've seen this so often, right? With Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is we have an entire political infrastructure and political party that doesn't have any principles outside of the maintenance of patriarchy, the maintenance of white supremacy, and the maintenance of racism. And they're doing whatever they can to maintain that power structure and that caste structure that they can, which in particular looks like looking at majority Black run cities and counties and saying, you all don't deserve the right to govern yourselves, and so we'll govern for you. That's why I believe once this goes to court, they're going to lose, because this is illegal and an entire abuse of power to override and overrule the voice of the people. And they keep doing this. But as Senator Reverend Dr. Warnock says, evil always overreaches. And the Tennessee Republican Party does nothing better than overreaching and extending their authority, just like they did with Nashville. They tried to cut the city council in half, tried to take over the entire airport authority. In Memphis, because I was reinstated, they threatened not to give hundreds of millions of dollars to the city that we were due for some stadium repairs. Right? Like, this is a long line of what they do, and preemption is a big part of that. When it comes to extreme risk protection orders, they sought to preempt every city and every county from being able to pass any laws related to it. When it comes to gun violence prevention, they've sought to preempt any legislation or ordinance from being passed. This was a referendum, it wasn't an ordinance. These are the actions of people who have literally, not only been drunk with power, as my colleague says, but they're drunk with the disease of white supremacy. And it is destructive to our entire state, but in particular, is destructive to our city.
Right. We saw it also with TSU. So it's not just cities and counties, it's even schools that are black led. I mean, this isn't a coincidence. Even the Memphis school board, they were kind of coming down on them.
Trying
And
to expand the size of the school board so they can put more of their people on it. TSU
exactly.
vacating the entire board, forcing the ouster of the black woman president of the
Right.
university. Mason, Tennessee, they sought to steal the charter from the comptroller
Mason, exactly.
power, and now they're refusing to listen to the people in Mason who are trying to be heard by Blue Oval. The Blue Oval good neighbors are fighting really hard for Ford to pay attention to them, and they're taking their community center away. They're ignoring them entirely, using eminent domain and TDOT as part of that to take away the rights of land for some of the people who are living there. It's a ridiculous perpetuation of policies and practices that always hurt people who are more poor, always hurt people who have been more marginalized. And the only way that we can fight back is through the courts, to say there has to be a system of checks and balances that does not allow them to continue to run over our communities just at their will.
One of the things that Caleb Hemmer pointed out was, this idea that in 2019, they passed a law basically that was setting up a trigger ban, even though Roe was still federal law. So their law contradicted the federal law. But
Mm-hmm.
now when you have these non-binding resolutions or referendums at the city level, they want to reach in and say no. And it's worth pointing out to people, like, other states have actually binding ballot measures,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, with abortion and things like that, where if enough people get together and vote on something, it actually becomes law. Marijuana, they've done this in other states.
Mm-hmm.
But Tennessee is so anti-democracy that not
Mm-hmm.
only will they not let binding resolutions, they won't let non-binding resolutions. So can you talk a little bit about the state of democracy in Tennessee and the warnings for the rest of the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's two things are true at the same time, right? Our movement is still growing. I believe the movement for justice rooted in love is still strong in our state because there are people who are saying, I love this state. I'm not leaving. I'm not going away. And I'm going to give everything that I can in order to make it better. And simultaneously, we have this faction of people who are really anti-democratic, who are really anti-constitutional, and they're anti anything that isn't about the maintenance of the status quo in their power. And that's what we're running up against. People who only care about the maintenance of their power. They don't care about people. They don't care about the poor. They don't care about the marginalized. They don't care about queer folk. They don't care about black folk. They don't care about indigenous folks. They don't care about immigrants. They don't care about making our state better for everybody. They only care about keeping and holding on to power, which they are consistently using in a corruptible way, in an abusive way that destroys democracy. They want to build a mobocracy, not a democracy. A democracy requires people. It understands that power resides within and of the people. But a mobocracy is only about their power. It's only about their attention. It's only about them. And that's the entire Republican Party right now, nationally and at our state level, being only concerned about themselves and not about how we actually protect, how we actually ensure that more people are able to live the lives that they need. And the reason we have to fight this, the reason the city council has to fight this, the reason we have to go to court is because we cannot continue to have them thinking that this is okay or that this is normal. This is not normal. This is terrifying, and it should terrify anybody who is a Tennessean, anybody who is an American, anybody who believes in our institutions and in our values. These are not the actions of people who live in a democratic society. And it is not normal for nearly 1 million people to have their voices silenced by the Secretary of State in our own elections. That's not a free and fair election. Not when elections and what's on the ballot can be dictated by one person who's in a position of power, or we could be threatened by two people who are in positions of power. This is ridiculous. It's dangerous, and it's destructive for democracy.
That's the same Secretary of State that they just sent out a bunch of basically
Awesome.
threatening letters to immigrants. If you vote wrongly, we're going to come after you, and
Mhm.
obvious voter suppression efforts. I want to end on a positive note here. I appreciate the time as always that you're giving.
Of course.
One of the things that happened at this convention that I was there for, which was a really cool moment, was the roll call vote was kind of a party. I can't lie. Lil Jon came out, but definitely one of the highlights was you taking folks to church. And I just want to let you watch this happen because I don't know if you've had a chance to sit back and watch it yet.
Tennessee, how do you cast your votes?
Mr. Secretary, the great state of Tennessee, birthplace of rock and roll, hometown to the blues, home of 7 HBCUs, and the state that gave women the right to vote.
From the bluffs of Memphis to the peaks of Mountain City, the movement for justice rooted in love in Tennessee is still strong. It is a movement where kids are free from gun violence, a movement where women have the right to choose, a movement where working people get access to economic opportunity, a movement where those who have been pushed to the periphery are brought to the center, a movement where those who have been pushed down are lifted up. It is alive in Tennessee because we believe that justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream, which is why we are so proud to have been the first state in the union to have pledged all of our delegates to Kamala D. Harris.
We cast 72 votes for the first woman and next president of the United States, Kamala D. Harris.
Yeah, that was a party, man. That was a party. What's it like watching that back right there?
My jaws hurt. I'm smiling so hard. So grateful to Ocean A, the entire family, and District 86 for the opportunity to be there, and just to Hendrell and chairman of Tennessee Democratic Party and VP Harris's team. It was such an honor to represent Tennessee. I mean, I'm a 7th-generation Tennessean, ain't going nowhere, and love this place that we call home, and know that it has so much more potential that we're going to together over time, persistently, consistently make more of a reality.
Well, I gotta tell you, I've only lived here probably 2016, so 8 years. But like that was a moment for me where I was like, I was proud to be from Tennessee. Like I felt like a real connection to the whole crew and to that moment. And I really appreciate how well you represented. And so I know we talk a lot about ugly things here, but I appreciate the voice that you bring to this state, and keep going, man.
Hey, we're doing it together. I appreciate you, Justin.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
That's Representative Justin J. Pearson coming on here to talk about the DNC, but also about some ugliness going on with Memphis. Not the first time that they're threatening Memphis. Certainly won't be the last time. And again, it's just more of that big government overreach. The GOP is the government overreach party, and we're seeing it again where they won't even let these non-binding gun safety law resolutions onto the ballot. It shows, he used the word weak, fragile. It shows a lot of that. So appreciate him coming on here as always. I see your comments. This is where the fight is. I see Annette saying, yes, sir. Let's see. Blue down the ballot. Go Tennessee. Our friend Kim Spoon is there. We will not go back. Why were the Tennessee 3 cut from the speaking roster? This is my question. Also, I'm not happy about it. I know like everybody wants to move on and say, okay, it was a great convention and stuff, but no, I'm pissed off. That shouldn't have happened. I was there. There was plenty of time for them to have been a part of that day 4. There were musical interludes that could have been a little shorter. There were other speakers that it felt like, why are they not here instead of them? So, I don't know that we have the full story there, but I know that people want to focus on Kamala and, the good stuff, which I understand. But I will be pissed off on their behalf. Jane says, thank you for being there for us. Appreciate that. And Pearson, really brought the house down with that, with that roll call. The roll call was amazing. I mean, I haven't been on here since I got back. I'm feeling a little sick since I got back. But it definitely, the energy, the vibes were really good. That roll call was awesome. Lil Jon was on the floor right behind me. He came out right behind me. And it was a party, and a stark contrast with, the RNC. This was a party. It absolutely was. Walter says I was there. It was surreal. Please post recording for those that missed it. Fantastic. I will definitely do that. So that's Justin Pearson. One other thing that I wanted to talk about while I have you guys on here that is also breaking news, not breaking news, but kind of in the news, and it's different. It's a little bit of a tangent, but I have you guys here, so I want to tell you about it. To me, it's important. I also wanted to show you this picture because this picture is just incredible. This is a New York Times picture, and I thought that was kind of the picture of the week. But no, separate note. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. But since I have you here, I just want to talk about Rep. Mark Green. Now, Mark Green signed on to a letter this week calling out Governor Walz for this wrongful attack about his military service. And the reason that that's so interesting is because Mark Green himself, first of all, just full disclosure, I ran against him in 2018 for House, but his military record is redacted. His discharge papers are redacted. And so if he wants to go after Governor Walz, to me, he's opening the door for people to come after him and say, open up your discharge papers. And so Montgomery County veterans, this is yesterday, came out and said, you release your 214, your DD 214, which, full disclosure, I didn't serve. So thank you to all who did. But your 214 is your discharge papers. His are redacted. And they said, release your unredacted discharge papers. If you're going to criticize Governor Walz wrongfully, I might add, Mark Green, release your discharge papers. Here they are. They are redacted. You see the B6 in terms of type of separation. The Tennessee Democratic Party says, what is Mark Green hiding? And these veterans have come out and said, yeah, what are you hiding? And we've been bugging Mark Green about this for a long time now. We have come out a number of times and said this. And actually, it shows that it's getting under his skin because not too long ago, this was, I think, 2 weeks ago or last week, he said, and I was honorably discharged no matter what these crazies run around saying. He's talking about us. He's talking about me there because we're the ones that keep hammering this. So it would be very easy for him to just come out and say, here are my discharge papers. I was honorably discharged. Shut me up, Mark. Shut us up. Release your discharge papers. Shut us up. It's simple. Egg on my face. I will come out and say, I was wrong. I apologize. Mark Green was honorably discharged. We apologize for asking this question for so long. Show me that we are wrong. It should be easy. And as one of the veterans who signed on to that letter said today in a video that we posted, she's never seen anybody have redacted discharge papers before. So this isn't like a common thing. And it's worth remembering that Mark Green was who Donald Trump was going to nominate for Secretary of the Army when he became president. And at the time, Republicans controlled the Senate. And so it should have been easy for him to get a hearing, get confirmed as Army Secretary. He never even got a hearing in a Republican-controlled Senate when Trump wanted to nominate him for Army Secretary. And the working story is, it's because he said something about trans people. We know enough about Republicans these days to know saying something bad about trans people probably isn't going to disqualify you. So what else is going on there? Inquiring minds want to know, and it's important to remember this is a guy who reportedly wants to be governor. Don't you think we deserve to know if this man has something in his service record that's problematic, which is maybe why he has a redacted discharge? It feels like it's worth asking the question. And it's something that we shouldn't be the only ones asking, especially now that he's going after Governor Walz's record. He is opening the door for other outlets aside from us to ask this question. So I encourage you. I hate that this becomes our role all the time, is like call the media and pressure the media, but apparently that's going to be our role. You should be pressuring the media. Ask them why they are not asking Governor or Mark Green, who wants to be governor, why his discharge papers are redacted. The media should be asking this question. Clarksville Now, the Clarksville Leaf Chronicle, Tennessean. I mean, you are all in Tennessee. He wants to be governor of Tennessee. Nashville, the Scene. I feel like the Scene probably is our best bet as far as who is going to ask him this. I think the Scene might actually do it. But these other outlets should be asking this guy at this point, especially if he's going after. Yeah, I agree Walz should demand Green release it, but also Walz isn't going to stoop to that level. So we got to ask. We got to stoop to that level. Stooping to that level, that's kind of our thing, And if you guys are here watching this, now you know. Now you need to ask them why they are not asking about Mark Green's discharge papers. This is where we're at. This is what needs to happen. The door is open now. He has opened the door, and we need to kick it open and say, hey, Mark Green, show us your DD-214. It rhymes. It's unforgettable. Mark Green, show us your unredacted DD-214. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.